Ladies and gentlemen, Parliament, as expected, has started off on a fiery note. Firing off missiles against the government today was Leader of Opposition Rahul Gandhi, who pinned the government down on a host of issues that ranged from Maharashtra's election to India being years behind China in the manufacturing sector and the data game, and Mr. Jaishankar's US trip that Rahul said was undertaken to wrangle and invite for the Prime Minister to Donald Trump's inauguration. All of this as the PM sat and watched. On at least 3 occasions, ladies and gentlemen, there was a showdown between Rahul Gandhi and Parliamentary Affairs Minister Kiran Rijiju. Before we go any further, take a quick look at the big headline moments from Parliament today.
When we talk to the United States, we would not send our foreign minister to invite our Prime Minister to his coronation. We would not send him 3 or 4 times, please invite our Prime Minister. Because if we had a production system and if we were working on these technologies, the American president would come here and invite the Prime Minister. So it is important to understand where
Please. Foreign policy. Leader of opposition cannot make such serious, unsubstantiated statements. This is related to the relation between 2 countries, and he is making an unverified statement about invitation of the Prime Minister of our country. It's not our territory. How can you make such kind of statement? He's leader of opposition, sir. He should be responsible in making such statement.
LOP is giving us very positive suggestions. Why they are worried, sir? For the country, he is giving.
Leader of opposition has the information from any official source. He must inform the House. If leader of opposition has the information, please inform the House.
Okay.
Who has told you that foreign minister was visited for the purpose which you have mentioned? You must specify it.
So, I'm sorry that disturbed you, that question. I apologize for disturbing your peace of mind. Army has contradicted the Prime Minister. It's true. The Prime Minister has denied it. The Prime Minister has denied it, and the Army has disagreed with the Prime Minister that China is sitting on 4,000 square kilometers of our land, of our territory.
ऐसा इस सदन में आप मन चाहे बात नहीं बोल सकते हैं। ये बिल्कुल ठीक नहीं है सर। ये सीरियस मामला है। आप फॉरेन पॉलिसी पे, बॉर्डर इशू पर आप अपना कैसे मजाक बात कर सकते हैं? अपना मन कहानी आप बना के बोल रहे हैं। ये तो बहुत सीरियस मामला है।
The difference between Lok Sabha and Vidhan Sabha was the population of Himachal. The entire population. What? Almost 70 lakh new voters suddenly arrived between Lok Sabha and Vidhan Sabha. Now, the most interesting part, and the Prime Minister is not looking at me. The most interesting part.
मजबूरी है। आप
The most interesting part.
सब सुनेंगे। तर्क पे बात करो।
मुंह नीचे कर लिया suddenly. The most interesting part is, sir, Maharashtra में more voters were added in 5 months in Maharashtra than were added in 5 years in Maharashtra.
Now, the BJP was quick to react, but what seems to have touched a raw nerve was Rahul Gandhi pulling out the Trump card and making the claim that Mr. Jaishankar's US visit was solely aimed at wrangling an invite for Prime Minister Modi for the Trump inauguration. Mr. Jaishankar, India's External Affairs Minister, responded with a tweet accusing Rahul Gandhi of lying to achieve political ends, and even went on to say that such comments damage India's image abroad. His party took the attack further.
मुझे लगा कि जब से मैं संसद में आई हूँ तरह तरह के भाषण होते हैं। मुझे लगा कि ऐसा ही भाषण होना चाहिए नेता का कि एक विजन बताए, देश के लिए विजन क्या है, आगे की सोच क्या है, और इस जो तू मैं चलती रहती है इससे ऊपर उठकर देश के लिए बोले, और मुझे बहुत ही अच्छा लगा उनका।
34 बार 34 टाइम्स चाइना 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 34 बार चाइना का नाम लिया है राहुल जिनपिंग ने। तो राहुल गांधी तो अपने मन में कहते ही होंगे कि अगले जन्म मोहे चाइनीज ही कीजो। 2004 से लेकर 2014 तक 10 वर्षों में जब आपकी कांग्रेस और यूपीए की सरकार थी, चीन और भारत के बीच सर्वाधिक ट्रेड डेफिसिट था 25% का, 25 टाइम्स आपकी सरकार थी, यूपीए और कांग्रेस की सरकार थी। उस समय तमाम बैंक एनपीए से और ट्विन बैलेंस शीट की प्रॉब्लम से जूझ रहे थे। कांग्रेस पार्टी इस पूरे बैंकिंग सिस्टम में यूपीआई के खिलाफ थी, डिजिटल पेमेंट और यूपीआई के खिलाफ थी। आप याद करिए।
My guest this evening, Dr. Narendra Dayal, spokesperson of the BJP. Good evening, sir. Thank you very much. Ashok Sajanar is a former ambassador. Tehseen Poonawalla joining us in the studio, and welcoming Mr. Salman Soos, spokesperson of the Congress party, into the debate as well. Gentlemen, apologies for keeping all of you waiting because we were discussing something, fairly heartbreaking at 8 o'clock. So that debate went a little over. Mr. Soos, thank you very much. The charge of the BJP is this: Rahul आके parliament में कुछ भी बोलता है. If you're saying that Jaishankar ji was in the United States of America, in fact sent there 3-4 times only to wrangle and invite for Prime Minister Modi for the Trump inauguration, where is the proof? Because Mr. Jaishankar is saying, I had gone for my own work, I had gone to meet the NSA and the Secretary of State.
Yes, Mr. Jaishankar had gone to the US just before the inauguration for 5-6 days, just because he had gone there for his own work and he had no work with the Trump administration. This is a laughable proposition. But anyway, the reason that these people are so frustrated is because the speech, if you listen to the speech was about primarily what India must do because of the threats and opportunities that exist in the world right now. We are clearly under threat by China, and there is no denying that. Any fool, and I think Sambit Patra, I saw what he said. He and I grew up together in some ways in the system. By using Xi Jinping's surname for Rahul Gandhi, he should be ashamed. He has not learned anything despite becoming a member of parliament. China has a trade surplus of over $100 billion with us. What the hell are these guys thinking? And by the way, Mr. Jaishankar, who says that when Rahul Gandhi talks about Prime Minister Modi and President Trump, he's damaging India in the eyes of foreigners. Has he forgotten that this Prime Minister went to South Korea and said that people basically used to say that what sin have we committed that we were born in India? He went to Canada and he said people were leaving India because there were scams, but then I want to ask them, why are 2.5 million Indians leaving the country every year? Why? If there are no scams, if they've created such a great economy, why are people leaving? 2.5 million, the highest number in the world, is leaving India every year. So to distract from this visionary speech, which talked about technology, which talked about our young people who need opportunities, which talked about threats like China, and which talked about carrying everybody along, like the poor people in this country. Okay. By the way, why haven't wages grown in real terms for our poor people since 2017? Why not? So I think they're frustrated.
Mr. Soos, can I just interrupt you here?
Sure.
I understand making the point about India's manufacturing being dismal, disappointing. I understand making that point. I understand even making the point that China is probably 20 years ahead of us. I want to ask you, where was the need to pull in the Prime Minister, to pull in Jaishankar, to say they had gone there to wrangle and invite? When you say things like that in Parliament, That is embarrassing for the country, right? That here's
No,
the
no,
foreign
that's-
minister
that-
of a
that is not-
country,
that-
a country as large as India, who's parked in Washington just to get an invite for an inauguration, which he doesn't manage to. That's embarrassing for the country. Even if it's true, you don't need to go and say it in Parliament, sir.
Shreya, this is the Parliament of India. This is our Parliament. We are on our soil. Unlike the Prime Minister who goes out and defames the country or at least disparages the country when he's outside, we are talking to him about what he's doing. By the way, what is embarrassing for us is that he goes and sits on the Jula with Xi Jinping and then basically runs a trade deficit of $100 billion with China. That is disparaging for us. That is what hurts India. Where is the trade policy that will help us reduce that trade deficit? Why not? Where is it?
Okay. Dr. Tayal, Mr. Soos is calling Rahul Gandhi's speech visionary in Parliament. Why are you saying it embarrassed the country? It was a long speech. He touched upon many things, including Maharashtra, including China, including the US, multiple things he touched upon. Why are you saying that this has embarrassed us internationally?
So, to say that Mr. Rahul Gandhi can be visionary is in itself quite a joke. Let's start from there. Somewhere he has misunderstood what position he holds. He thinks he is the leader of opposition. He's the leader of opposition to the government. But the role he has been playing right through is the leader of opposition to the country, to India. That is what he thinks. Now, either he should have the guts, put the paper on the table and say, okay, here is the proof that Mr. Jaishankar went looking for an invite. Now, Mr. Jaishankar has made a very categorical statement when he has said at no stage was an invitation in respect of the PM discussed. It is common knowledge that our PM does not attend such events. In fact, India is generally represented by the special envoys. And the importance of India, which they are trying to belittle. Let's understand, where was Mr. Jaishankar seated? Right in the front. And when he was asked, he was said, well, that is something, when you are an envoy of Mr. Modi, that is what happens. What has happened today? When Mr. Trump has put out tariffs, it was expected that there'd be tariffs on India also. But India did not get any tariffs. It has happened to China. It has happened to Canada. It has happened to Mexico. That is the relationship we're talking about.
Don't give Mr. Trump ideas, sir. He is already mulling tariffs on EU. There is absolutely no guarantee that India will not face the same as well. I would say let's tread on that path a little cautiously, Mr. Tayal. But can I quickly get in Mr. Ashok Sajjanar to respond to something you are saying? Mr. Sajjanar, this is what the BJP's official line is. This is what Mr. Jaishankar's official line is. I didn't go there for an invite. And in any case, it is common knowledge that the Prime Minister doesn't go for these inauguration type events to any countries, that it is special envoys who are sent. Is that true? I want to ask you that question as someone who's seen the space and been in the space for a really long time.
Thank you very much, Shreya. Yes, I think it's very right. Whenever there are invitations received for such inaugurations, the Prime Minister normally does not participate. He normally does not attend. He always sends a special envoy. And in this case, it was he sent Dr. S. Jaishankar. I agree with what the BJP gentleman has said. You look at the place where Dr. Jaishankar was placed. There were other foreign ministers. There was the foreign minister of Japan. He was in the third row. There was the foreign minister of Australia. He was also in the third or the fourth row. Dr. Jaishankar was in the first row. He was the first person. Also look at after the confirmation of Marco Rubio, who's the Secretary of State. Whom did he meet? He met the other Quad foreign ministers also. Who was the first person that he met? He met Dr. S. Jaishankar. Let me just make 2 points very quickly. Number one, that, there are these senior level visits that take place. You would recall that Jake Sullivan, the National Security Advisor of the US administration, visited India, just before Biden was to hand over charge. Basically, because you want to solidify whatever decisions you have taken. Now, Dr. Jaishankar went, he met his counterpart, Secretary of State, and he met the NSA. He also met the incoming NSA, Mike Wards, The last point, Shreya, that I want to make here is that in some cases, very special cases, the Prime Minister might attend, the swearing in of foreign leaders, like he did in the case of Maldives. I can remember only one case, Ibrahim Soli, when he went there. That is a very special case because it was a particularly anti-Indian government of Muhammad Yamin. And after that was pushed out, then Ibrahim Soli came, and Mr. Modi was the only foreign leader to have been invited. He was not one of the many foreign leaders. He was the only foreign leader to be invited. So I think it's a rare case that he does that.
You know, Tehseen. Okay, you know, Tehseen, the point has been made before as well, that the swearing in is like a tamasha. It's like a circus. Right. Why will the Prime Minister want to go there? What is this false narrative that the Congress is spreading? But well, Rahul Gandhi has today gone out and said that on the floor of the House. Was it necessary?
So Ashokji is right. There's only one place the Honourable Prime Minister has gone, Maldives, and it's the right thing to do, that he should have gone for Ibrahim's swearing in at Maldives. That was the right thing that the Prime Minister did. If I visualize myself as leader of opposition, if I had the opportunity to serve as leader of opposition, there are many challenges, as you rightly put, between the United States and India, and it's going to be a relationship that may not be as smooth sailing because of the way Trump also wants to run Trump 2.0. Therefore, it is important that as leader of opposition, I use the parliament as a forum to put up constructive suggestions so that the nation can build a cohesive relationship with the United States. Remember this 500 gigawatt nuclear plant that the BJP announced in the finance budget? It was the Congress that got in the nuclear plant, and it was United States-led alliance that gave us the 123 agreement despite India not being a signatory to the NSG. And Prime Minister Manmohan Singh led that, the Congress led that. So we must always, as a nation in our parliament, put out very constructive suggestions. All other chatter can be left to social media, and I'm a Congress voter, but those should be left to social media. I think Parliament's a very reasonable, important medium. But I also believe that the Honourable Prime Minister and the Honourable External Ministers must take the opposition into confidence and brief them and build bridges. Parliament should be used for building bridges, not burning bridges. One last thing. It is true that Dr. Jaishankar did get special treatment. He was in the first row, and ultimately, India should be first. So this is not a question of Prime Minister Jaishankar ji was not Modi ji's envoy. He was Shreya's envoy, Tehseen's envoy. He was India's envoy. So this must also end. I think both the Prime Minister and the opposition, if I served as leader of the country, I would reach out to the opposition. I think we need to build bridges and put India first as a policy, not Prime Minister Modi first or the opposition first.
Mr. Soos, therefore, I will end with you. The point is Rahul Gandhi made a longish speech. He said many things that needed to be said by the leader of opposition on the floor of the House. He spoke about employment. He was fair when he said, you couldn't fix it, we couldn't fix it either. He also said that Make in India, Made in India was a good idea by the Prime Minister, but he failed. So there was a lot that he said. Should he have been a little more careful about choosing his words about this invite that the Prime Minister did not get? Because ultimately that is what has ended up overshadowing all the constructive things that he actually did say on the floor of the House.
Well, first, he did say many constructive things, and I think he acknowledged the Prime Minister's ideas also, even though they failed. I mean, manufacturing, as you know, financial journalism well, it is basically lower than 1960. It's at 13% of GDP when the Prime Minister promised it to be at 25%. Being that as it may, the point about Rahul Gandhi talking about Mr. Jaishankar or the Prime Minister, basically, it is drawing attention to some of the foolishness we see in government. When the Prime Minister says, without anybody prompting him, that China is not occupying anybody, has not come inside the border, nobody's occupying any territory, when we know that they are inside Indian territory. Why do they keep talking about going back to the pre-2020 position in China with China? Why? Because China has done something in 2020. What was?
Yes, of course.
Why was it so necessary for the Prime Minister to say something like that? Because that has cost India dearly. And when the Prime Minister, if you remember, when he went to America, when he attended a Trump rally, and he said, "Ab ki baar Trump sarkar," and Trump lost. And that was bad for India. It is to basically draw attention to some of the foolishness that happens because of this government.
Okay. No, I agree with you there. I mean, it does no one any credit if you have 21 rounds of co-commander talks they've seen and say that no one is sitting on our territory. There's a reason why Indian and Chinese commanders have met over 3 years over co-commander talks, and the issue has finally been sorted out. But go ahead, 20 seconds.
And you're still not patrolling to the same points that we used to.
20 seconds.
But look, when I visualize myself as leader of the country, I will have an envoy who will go out there and speak on behalf of my country. Why envoy is put? So this business of telling our citizens that why is an envoy going? तो envoy उसीलिए तो Prime Minister appoint करता ना कि जाके उनके लिए बात करे. Prime Minister थोड़ी ना बात करेगा. It is how it is, and it should be that way. All Prime Ministers do it. There's nothing wrong. We should oppose the BJP. We have to throw the BJP out, but constructively, not in a way that social media chatter.
Okay, Tehseen, we leave it there for the moment. Thank you very much. Mr. Soos, thank you very much. We hope you can keep coming back to Mirror now. Mr. Sajjanar, thank you very much. And Mr. Tayal, always good to have you on the show. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. On that note, a quick break. Shreya Upadhyay is joining you up next with all the day's headlines. Do stay with us.